Pupco Studios in Oklahoma City. You're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and we are brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. You can go online to papajohns.com and check out all their specials. Great for those baseball or football game nights. Hey Barry, let's do 5 and 5, and let's start not with the OU blame game, because a lot of people are talking about blame after that loss at TCU. Let's talk more about concerns coming out of that game, because that's the bigger issue moving forward. So, bigger concern, players or coaches? What you saw on the field or what you saw coming off the sideline?
I'm going to say it's a little bit different depending on which side of the ball you're talking about. On defense, I think the bigger concern is the players. I think Mike Stoops coaches them up really well. I think the linebacker depth has not reared its head, but the cornerback situation, Julian Wilson, Zach Sanchez got burned repeatedly the last 2 games. I think that's a concern. I don't know what they can do about it. On the offensive side, the players are what they are, and I think Josh Heupel is going to have to adjust some to the talents of a Trevor Knight and the lack of talent at the wide receiver position. I think that's on Josh to change and make Knight a more effective quarterback. You can't overhaul the offense. I realize that, but I think there are nuances he can do to make Trevor Knight more effective.
You know, I'm going to do the overall, and I'm going to say it's a bigger coaching concern moving forward, because if you look at that game at TCU and the offense scores 33 points, you'd think against a pretty good defense like TCU, that'd be enough. But the defense didn't hold up. I didn't think their scheme was fantastic, and clearly some questions in play calling on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know if it's overthinking, Barry. I mean, I think Mike Stoops is good at what he does. Frankly, I think Josh Heupel's pretty good at what he does. But some games they just seem to sort of try to overthink it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that seems to come into play a couple times a year, and it ultimately is usually a loss. All right, bigger concern moving forward for OU. How about this one, Barry? Is it wide receivers or defensive backs?
I'm going to go with the wide receivers. I mean, I think Julian Wilson and Zach Sanchez have played well in the past. I think they can play well again. I'm just not sure OU's got enough wide receivers to run a spread offense effectively. I think you go Sterling Shepard's a star. Duron Neal is promising, has made some plays, and past that, there's nothing. There's no proven talent at all. And if there was even promising talent, it would be put to use. I think the DBs will eventually be okay. I'm not so sure about the wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm going wide receivers on this one as well. And, it's really kind of shocking that Sterling Shepard is kind of alone on the wide receiver island. Duron Neal, while promising, he's a third-year guy and really hasn't emerged. Was a pretty highly recruited guy. And again, fairly highly recruited are most of these wide receivers. But I tell you what, if somebody went to OU and said, we'll trade OSU's entire wide receiver core for OU's entire wide receiver core, they'd trade in a heartbeat. And that includes Sterling Shepard. OSU's wide receivers, deep, good. OU just doesn't have that. I don't know if they haven't developed it, haven't recruited it, but that's a big concern. All right, here's another one, Barry. Bigger concern. Is it offense or is it defense?
I think it's offense for this reason. I think when your quarterback is not playing well, I think you worry about the offense. And right now, Trevor Knight he's not playing terrible. He's not playing bad. He's playing okay. But to win big-time games, which turns out TCU is a big-time game, you've got to have good quarterback play. And we haven't seen that consistently out of Trevor Knight. So I think the defense will be fine. But I do worry about the long-term effectiveness of the Trevor Knight offense.
You wrote about this earlier in the week, and I think what we're coming to grips with as we see more of Trevor Knight is more the guy that he was against TCU than the guy he was against Alabama. That Alabama performance, for as great as it was, it appears to be the anomaly. And you know what? The offense is hamstrung a little bit too by Trevor Knight having this great weapon in his feet, but the depth behind him is so thin. I actually took a call from somebody this week saying, I really like that Cody Thomas guy. Already the talk about replacing Trevor Knight has started. Listen, we don't know anything about Cody Thomas or Justice Hansen or how any of those guys would fare. No. And I think that's the big concern. They just don't, I think they're scared about letting Trevor Knight run free, get hurt. It's just a scary proposition. All right, Barry, our fun question of the week, which I think is fun. Maybe OU fans would think otherwise, but Katy Perry, thumbs up or down?
You talking to me? You seriously are asking me a question about Katy Perry?
This is why I ask it. I knew you'd have a great response.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? Well, Just to be perfectly blunt, my experience with Katy Perry extends pretty much to last Saturday on game day, watching from the press box there in Fort Worth. She seemed a little on the silly side for me. Now, I try to let my hair down a little bit, but
or put your hair up in Princess Leia things.
Whatever. But for crying out loud, I thought Trevor Knight handled it pretty well. But I will say this: if Trevor's listening, I got some advice. If Katy Perry was serious, if she's still interested after the TCU game, take the shackles off. No matter what Josh Heupel says, run, run, run far away.
So thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? I have to say that some of Katy Perry on the pregame show on ESPN was actually pretty good. I mean, she brings out the big pencil in response to Lee Corso, which I thought was fun. She brings out the corn dogs, which is apparently some sort of SEC inside joke reference about LSU, I guess. I'm not in the SEC, so I don't know exactly. But anyway, so, I mean, I give her some props for having some fun and pulling out some stops when it comes to that stuff, but I go thumbs down just from the outfit. Was she trying to look like a Muppet? What was that? It was furry.
It looked like Snow White or something. It looked like something off a Disney film.
Ugh, yeah, thumbs down, sorry. All right, Barry, hey, let's get serious again and let's talk some Thunder. Let's see, who is the player not getting enough preseason pub? I mean, obviously they've got a lot of stars, but who's not getting enough attention in the preseason?
I am going to say, and this is no reflection on you because you wrote about the guy. I think Anthony Morrow is going to make a big difference. This is a guy, the Thunder has somebody they can throw to and he can just knock it down. You know, for years we've been hearing from people, hey, go get Kyle Korver, go get Kyle Korver, go get Kyle Korver. Guess what? They went and got a Kyle Korver. Anthony Morrow actually has slightly better numbers than Kyle Korver. Same type of player, a three-point marksman. Really going to make a big difference stretching that defense. And the reason you stretch defenses is because it creates openings for people like Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. And even though it's been a long time since basketball season, you'll remember open seams for Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are a very good thing.
That's absolutely right. Well, you know what? I'm not sure we can ever write enough, hear about, talk about enough when it comes to Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Those guys are off the charts. They probably should be a daily topic of conversation. But I think the guy that's maybe not getting enough pub in the preseason is Serge Ibaka. We saw how important that guy was in the playoffs when he missed those 2 games at San Antonio, essentially spotted the Spurs a 2-0 lead in that Western Conference Finals. Just a fantastic part of this team, and frankly, I think we may have forgotten that. You know, maybe we'll be reminded when they get out there on the floor, but he was pretty spectacular in the World Cup this summer playing for Spain, really showed that he's returned to form athletically, so I think he's going to be really good, and I think having him out there, these questions of who starts at center, I think are eased a lot by Serge Ibaka. I don't think we're talking quite enough about him. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.